Hi everyone, it's Professor Hank here, and today we're going to be talking about C strings in C++. Before we get started, let's talk about what we mean when we say string. When we talk about a string, we're just talking about a consecutive sequence of characters. So you can have a word, a sentence, someone's name, for example. These are all examples of strings. And in C++, you've got two main ways of storing strings in memory. One way, the most common way, is by using string objects. The other way is to store strings as C strings. So what's a C string? It's just a string that stores the characters in memory locations that are sequential. And they have a special character at the end that terminates them, and that's called the null character or the null terminator. Null terminator is represented in memory by ASCII code 0. So where did the name come from? Why do we call them C strings? Because this is the way that C handles strings. So let's take a look at what a string literal looks like. Now, string literals, all of them get stored in memory as C strings. So what's a string literal? It's characters that you type up inside those double quotes, right? So you can take that string literal and send it directly to cout if you want to. And so in memory, Hank is getting stored in consecutive memory locations, and there's 5 characters there. You only see 4 on the screen right now, but there's actually 5. There's H, A, N, K, and then the null terminator. I didn't have to type the null terminator because C++ automatically puts it there for you. So if you want to store a C string in memory, to be able to manipulate it later, you have to put it inside of an array of characters. So we'll create an array of characters right now that is 5 elements long, and we'll call it name, right? And then we can initialize it like this, all right? So when we do that, what's happening is that this C string, it's being assigned to this array. Now you might look at this and go, well, why did you create an array of 5 characters when your name has only got 4 characters in it? Because this string literal is actually 5 characters, as I just explained. So you have to make sure that your array is big enough to store all the characters that you need, right? So the HANK plus the null terminator. You always have to keep in mind that null terminator. So that's how we can initialize an array, but we can also ask the user to enter in a string, and we can store it in an array. So what we can do is we can create an array, and we can set its size to say 21 characters long. All right, now if we do that, that means that we have enough room for our user to enter 20 characters. Why 20? Because we have to save room for the null terminator. So we might do something like ask the user, enter your name, max of 20 characters. Okay, and then we can read in their name by using cin like this. All right. Now again, normally you can't do this with the regular old arrays. You'd have to fill the array up element by element, but arrays of characters and strings are an exception. So we can read directly into the array this way, and then we can send the array straight to cout, just like other variables. All right. So again, this is an exception to the rule. So let's see what this looks like. All right. So we'll go ahead and test it. All right. So that works just fine. Now there's a couple potential problems here that we have to be aware of and that we have to deal with. So the first problem is that there is nothing stopping me from entering more than 20 characters here, right? And you're going to see that Visual Studio is going to complain. It's going to give you an error. Why did this happen? Because the string we entered in got stored past the end of the array, right? Remember, it's up to you as a programmer when dealing with arrays that you respect the size of the array. So in this case, when I typed in that super long string, it tried to write past the end of the array. There was nothing stopping that from happening. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that cin stops reading at white space. So let's say that I tried to enter in my full name, say. Even though that's less than 20 characters, I still got problems. See how the window closed immediately? Reason for that was that it read the Hank into name, but then as soon as it saw the white space, it stopped. Okay, and then it did the C out and displayed hi. And then the rest of the characters that were left in the keyboard buffer went into my cin.ignore, my cin.get, and then the program finished. So what we have to do is we have to use something else. Now to deal with these problems, we have the cin.getline function. So the first argument is going to be the array where you want to store the string. And then the second argument is going to be an integer. So in this case, we're going to pass it size. And what cin.getline is going to do is it'll read the first size -1 characters from the user up to that many, whether there's white space or not. And it'll store it inside of your array, and then it'll tack on the null terminator for you. So that's why it's going to read size -1 characters from the user. So that way it can reserve room, that extra character, for the null terminator. Anything that the user types after that size, if they type 30 characters, say, the extra 10 are going to be completely and utterly ignored. So let's go ahead and test it out and see it in action. Okay, so now I can enter in as much white space as I want, and it's going to work just fine. And if I was to write in a string that was too long, that was greater than 20 characters, then getline will ignore all the rest of those characters. They'll still be in the keyboard buffer, but you won't be storing or trying to write past the end of your array. Okay, so that's going to bring this video to a close. If you're a student of mine, you have questions about any of the topics that were covered in this video, feel free to drop me an email, stop by my office hours, or hit me up on Zoom online. For the rest of you, if you thought the video was useful, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you thought the video sucked, you got the thumbs down button as well. Consider supporting the channel in various ways. You can subscribe, you can join as a member with additional perks for as little as 99 cents. Leave a comment, whatever. But most of all, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.